Welcome back to the Restaurant Growth Show podcast. Today, we are excited to welcome our guest, the founder of Kara Restaurant Group and co-host of Restaurant Punk, the podcast, Yianni Karapanagiotis. Yianni, welcome to the show. How are you doing today, man?
Yo, yo, yo. I like how you said my name.
All right, you know what? Good. The last name, I'm sure you haven't, this isn't the first time you've heard this, but your last name gave me a little bit of anxiety. I wasn't sure if I was going to butcher it. So the fact that we got a good response is 2 thumbs up so far.
Much appreciated, brother. Much appreciated.
So listen, we do have some questions to go over. We got a lot of things that we want to unpack. And as a host, I've got to do my research. I've got to dig into our guests. We got to dig into the history, got to look at their journey. And I have to admit, Yianni, that there are some really great quotes that begin to pop up in some of your interviews. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to drop some of these quotes periodically throughout the interview. And I would love for you to give us your take on what they mean to you. Does that sound good?
Absolutely. Bring it on.
Fantastic. All right. So the first quote that I really want to bring up here, and it probably means means something different to a lot of different people, but this quote means quite a bit to me. Consistency builds credibility. What does that mean to you, and why do you use it so often?
Listen, it's everything. It's everything. And when it comes to consistency, doing it over and over again, usually the line is doing the same thing over and over again is insanity. That's the word, right?
Expecting different results. Yeah.
Yes. Oh no, expecting different results. In this case, day in, day out, being consistent. The best example I like to use is when it comes to, presenting your dishes. Do they look the same? Do they taste the same? Do they feel the same? Your atmosphere. Do you have the same vibe every time you walk into your establishment? All these, I've used that over and over again. And that, especially when it comes to Kara Restaurant Group, that is my favorite quote. So thank you for shooting that one out first. But I would say I use that about 3 times a day. So are some people sick and tired of hearing it every day? Probably after 20 something years. Yeah, I would say so.
But I mean, otherwise it wouldn't be consistent though, if you did not use it every single day, multiple times. I mean, for me, consistency builds credibility from a business standpoint. It just means so much to me, considering my journey, opening businesses, going through the grind. One quote that is similar that I sort of think of, I'm a big sports guy, and hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. And that one really kind of changes the needle for me. I don't know if you've heard that one before.
I have not, but I absolutely love it. And the flip side to that coin is, even though I say it 3 times a day, I'll say the opposite 3 times a day as well, because as an entrepreneur, you have to learn how to pivot. And sometimes that consistency, you don't want that consistency. You need to be able to pivot at any point in time. So really there's 2 sides to that coin. But we like to bake a cake with consistency builds credibility, and we like the frosting to be the pivoting.
Absolutely. Yeah, makes a lot of sense. So listen, Yianni, let's talk a little bit about your journey. Let's talk about your origin story, if you will. I know you spent some time in Toronto, so shout out to all of our Canadian fans. And like you said before we started recording here, you got your dual citizenship, which is really, really cool. Tell us about your time in Toronto, and tell us about like the early days, say in TGI Fridays, when you really started to learn the business.
So being born and raised in New Jersey, I would say by the time I graduated high school, I was a dishwasher at a local steak chain. And let's just say I wasn't running around with the best crew, and I was getting into a lot of trouble. And some of them happened to be employees at work, line cooks. I just happened to be the 17-year-old dishwasher. And I'm just going to say that my future was not looking very good. So I looked at some of my friends. I have an uncle in Toronto who is a very successful restaurateur. And in his own right, according to me, he was a hero. And I said, you know what? I don't know what he does, but that's what I want to be when I grow up. Because I walk into his restaurant on a Saturday night and I see a line for an hour and I see him upstairs playing cards with a bunch of other guys. And I'm like, so full restaurant, he's doing his thing. Everything's running. It's a ballet. And I'm like, wow. So I asked him if I could come up and intern. And in Greek terms, that's like, what do you mean? Work for free? And I said, I'll do anything, man. I just want to learn. So that that entailed my trip to Toronto and being there for a few years and really, really learning the grind and the business and really what goes on behind closed doors. But watching my uncle be the owner operator, not just a guy playing cards, I really got to see what that entails. And there really is an art form to this. And when it comes to being a leader, and again, being consistent, is he there every day or does he just show up and pick up the money? Two different things. So I learned a lot of my heaviest lessons in Toronto. So I'm very grateful for that.
Okay, so you opened a first location, right? And then it took you like 10 years to open the second one. And now you have 14 locations, right? So what were some of the biggest hurdles you faced in expanding your business?
I think that listen, I talk to wannabe restaurateurs, entrepreneurs, line cook every day. And I figure, you know what, this is my purpose in life. How do I get people into business? And the reality is that I think their dreams of owning an array of food trucks or just all the money that's going to come and the first thing I say is, if you're doing this for the money, do something else. Pretty please. You have to have a passion for it. So why did it take 10 years to open a second? Because you have to find, let's use restaurants, for example, you have to find something that's not working and you have to put your touch on it. And you have to be there 24/7. And until you build a legend, because we all know how to measure profitability. How do we measure durability? And I knew after 10 years that I could walk into any of our kitchens and say to the whole kitchen, if they're, screwing around, they could all disappear and I could hop in and take over from there. So really learning your craft, take 10 years, build a solid cake, and then open a second one. And that was really the biggest one. And I think that's very important. Those who want to open a restaurant or an establishment, a bar, a food truck, learn it first. Learn it first. Work it.
I'm curious about what can you tell us a little bit about how did you accelerate that? How was that process of accelerating in all the way to 14?
So have you guys ever heard you must give in order to receive? So what we do here at Kara Restaurant Group, how it started was I started in 2002. My brother was a chef in Philadelphia. And in 2011, he announced to me that he is ready to open up his own restaurant in Philadelphia. And I said, congratulations. And he said, you're not going to help me? I said, no, I'm not. However, if you come down to me in Cape May, I will open you a restaurant and we'll start a little thing there. So I started in 2002. My brother came in 2011. We opened the younger brother. And then we opened Shimon. And then we opened a fourth location. And it got to a point to where you make a decision as a business owner. Do you hire employees and keep building from there? Or do you take key employees, people that are not sure how to move forward in life and not sure exactly what they want to do, but just like looking for that little door to open? So I tell them, come on in. We teach them how to do business. They learn it on their own. Some take it and run, some don't. So really how we built the group was through the foundation of employees becoming business owners and kind of spreading from there. So it's really just about sharing, but moving together as a group. And, I tell everybody, part of my philosophy daily is if you want to play golf, ping pong, tennis, those are individual sports. If you want to be soccer, football, basketball, we're a team over here. So we really work together as a team. So that's really the key ingredient.
One of my favorite things of that, and it's something we touch a lot in our show, is that you really created a solid career path for a lot of people. And so I appreciate big time that you're committed to that, and it's a mission in your life. Thank you.
Absolutely, brother. Absolutely. That's all I care about.
And I think this is a really great segue into the next quote that I would love to hear your opinion on and backstory. And that is, I mean, I can tell you're a big sports guy, and so am I. And what I've heard consistently from you in some of your interviews is to play offense first and then learn to play defense. Can you unpack that for us?
Absolutely. I would love to. So, when you guys come down here, we all meet and you meet the group, you're going to see a defensive team and you're going to see an offensive team. I lead the offensive team because I like to shoot. I like to go. And really, guys, it's about growth. And when it comes to growth costs money. Growth is stressful. Growth is really everything. Now, you have another half that might just say refinement. Like, let's just stay where we are. And just like I told you guys, staying in one place for 10 years, that's refinement. But at some point, you got to pull the trigger. So amongst my fellow restaurateurs, and we go down the rabbit hole with debates like this with my fellow restaurateurs, whether they own one restaurant or 10. And there's a lot of screaming and there's a lot of debating. And there's, on the defensive end of things, it's just stay in your restaurant, live your life, do the barbecues, have steak dinners, go to ball games, spend time with your family. And I'm really the opposite. I'm like, let's go, 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 over and over and over again, because my mind never stops going. Now, especially, how do we grow? How do we become more? So just building an ecosystem around that, that's where I like the defensive players. You need defense, but offense scores. So I like offense. I want to go.
Offense
if you can't tell already.
A little bit. Offense is the best defense, right?
Yeah.
Look, there's an argument there, but yeah, I want to go. I want to score. I want goals.
That's right. That's right. So listen, Yianni, you've always emphasized the importance of having good systems and processes. How have these changed from when you started to now with 14 locations?
So I would say our flagship restaurant is called George's Place. And, we are right in the middle or on the tail end of closing up our franchise agreement. So that would open things up and the trademarks are all done. So I'm just going to focus on that because we have 5 locations when it comes to George's Place. And we believe it's the most franchise friendly. Our other establishments are a little more upscale. So I'm just going to focus on the George's Places with 5. Right now, as we speak, just really touching on what we talked about before about plates coming out and looking the same. With 5 locations, for instance, I'll use a bacon cheeseburger. When the plate is being laid down in front of the guest, is that bacon cheeseburger located at 2:00 every single time it gets down there? And these are really, part of the systems that we're getting into. We have actually, you can laugh, but I think it's funny. It's called the Kitchen SWAT team. So once a week, they surprise a restaurant. There's a report card. There's back of the house, the fridges, cleanliness, food. And I think it's one of the best things that we've ever done to build, going back to consistency. These systems in place, guys, I'm still learning after 30-something years. I'm still learning. We need more systems. The question is, how many systems are enough? I believe I could walk into the Four Seasons, any Four Seasons, and find 1,000 things wrong. That's just me. But I'm talking about the most minute, tiny details. So does it matter if you walk past the table and the salt shaker is 10% not full? It bothers me. Do I like to take the top of the straw off and look underneath and see if there's any crust? I do. Do I want to see these? So we can sit there and break it down to 1,000 different things. But yeah, as you can see just now, I went off on one of my rants and now I'm going to come back. So you can stop me anytime you want.
No, please. Man, this is gold. This is gold. Keep going. Please do.
That's good.
I love
it. So now systems are great. And I'm given what you've shared, I'm gonna calculate, like, during the pandemic, how many locations did you have?
So pre-pandemic, 4.
Okay.
5.
So it hit you at 5.
Yeah. So I'm going to tell you guys what happened during the pandemic was, unfortunately, a lot of people could not make it. And unfortunately, we got hit with, so 10 years ago, I would get maybe one phone call a year. Hey, Yianni, we have a restaurant available. Would you like to come look at it? Now it's more like 20. And I would say the year of COVID, once it hit in March and going into that summer, I started getting a lot of phone calls. And it got to the point where we could pick and choose. And some of these people, they just couldn't make it. And I feel for them. At the end of the day, you can ask me how we survived as a group. I'll tell you exactly how we survived. The day that everybody closed and everything got shut down, I said, do we have to close? They said, no, you can do takeout. I said, I want all locations to do buy one, get one free. Done. And guys, it was some of the busiest stuff we've ever had. I mean, it was crazy because everybody shut down. But we did takeout and it was buy one, get one free. And that really laid the foundation moving forward for where we are today. Again, giving and you shall receive. Now, we can have an argument about profitability when it comes to restaurants. That is not a profitable move. Did we lose a lot of money? Yes. But at the end of the day, it put butts in seats. It kept people working. servers are making tips, line cooks are working, and that's what the most important thing is. And you can't confuse having a high IQ with being sensible. Sometimes you just have to do the sensible thing, and that's exactly what we did. And that's called offense, not defense.
I'm sensing a theme here. I'm sensing a theme.
Yes. Yes.
That's great. That's great. I love that. Glad to see that you're not a psychopath trainer or anything like that. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
No, actually, for me, it was really special because with my online ordering company, we supported so many restaurants. It was madness as well. And I'm curious, did you actually also make use or just over the phone?
All over the phone, all customer guest based. Sometimes there's an additional touch to, am I saying this right, to touching somebody or just having that, everything that was going on. Sometimes a friendly voice comes in handy. And I'll tell you guys one thing, I was the first guy on the phone. I was the first guy in the kitchen. And just seeing people coming in with their masks or waiting outside or just trying to make it work, I really just thought about the employees and the people that have families and how do we make it work. And I'm very proud of what we did. I love what we did. So taking that, moving forward with that. But your original question was, how many locations did you have pre-COVID? And now where are we at? And how many are coming more? So do we listen? And again, I don't love talking about COVID, but pivot. Don't just close and go home and just say, make it work.
Awesome. I can see where the consistency is also very important. I mean, going through all of that, and you being the instigator of the culture, I can see it. Like why you say I consistently show up as myself. I bring all the energy, and it just that's the only thing that keeps it, because it was a mind challenge. And now we're gonna switch topics. Gordon,
You know what? It's time for the third quote that we'd love for you to unpack for us. And it's a little and it's a little bit financial. Tell us about this. You cannot save yourself to wealth. Unpack that for us.
Listen, if I were to ever get a tattoo, it would be on my left butt cheek, and that's what it would say. You cannot save yourself to wealth. It's impossible. So, it might be a thing where, it's crazy growth. I think you had mentioned psychopathic, something about that. I mean, there's a debate there somewhere when it comes to
yes.
that. Maybe you have to do that. But if let's use real estate, for example. Do you buy real estate now and wait, or do you save for 10 years and then buy it? It's going to go up in value. So if you're going to sit there and save and you want to be wealthy, I think you need, listen, aren't restaurants the number one least profitable business? I would say online, that always comes up as number one. One thing I would not do is start a restaurant. And I disagree. It's a business. If you can learn how to run a business and you can be successful in the restaurant business, I do believe you could do many other things that are less challenging. But you can't save yourself to wealth is, once I heard that, I'm like, okay, not 3 times a day, but minimum once a day. There's actually one member in the group that has that one memorized on speed dial. So I will call him if I'm anywhere in the world, like in Athens, Greece. I'll say that line and I'll say, hold that thought, and I'll put him on speakerphone. And I said, what's the tattoo that I said you should get on your butt? Can't save yourself to wealth. Thank you. See you guys. You have to understand, because saving money, whether it's in business, what are you saving for? Are you saving to invest in another business that's going to bring you more cash flow? Or are you saving money for a rainy day? I don't believe in rainy days. Take an umbrella. All right. Yeah, it's rough out there. Put on a helmet.
You can't take it with you. You can't take it with you.
You cannot.
So, Yianni, looking ahead, now that you've got 14 restaurants, what's next for Kara Restaurant Group? How do you see your business growing in the future? Is it more locations? Is it what's the plan?
Our future plans as early as next month and going into next year, we have 2 books that are coming out. One is a cookbook and one is my book. We are also working on our media company, which is also launching our merchandising store. Restaurants, as far as franchising goes, like I said before, when it comes to the franchise, we are looking at somewhere. We're in New Jersey. We'd like the first franchise to be in the tri-state area between New York, Philadelphia, and Washington. That way we can, there's 12 of us in the group. So even if one person goes daily or one person goes for 3 days, just to make sure, like we said, those systems are in place and all the little details. So amongst more George's places, listen, guys, at the end of the day, if the right deal comes along, all these restaurants are based on good deals. If we as a group cannot buy that property and we're going to lease it, minimum 10-year lease, and we only take 8% of gross sales as rental payment. That's it. That's our deal. So we need long-term leases. Again, playing offense. Defense would be, I'll sign a 1-year lease and let's see how it goes, and then we'll go from there. No, that's defense. You're going to lose already. Go long-term, get married, minimum 10 years. Some landlords don't like that. And the percentage to sales is safe.
That I love that. One of the things that makes me think, or one of the things I repeat, it's that commitment activates providence. Once you commit to something, the universe conspires. So
can I use that?
Of course, anytime.
Thank you.
One that I like to use is sometimes you got to drink the Kool-Aid, right? Sometimes you just got to buy, you got to go all in.
Just do it. Just go. Let's go. I love it.
All right. Last quote that I'd love for you to unpack for us. This is more of a lifestyle thing. It's applicable across a lot of different aspects of our lives. Creativity has no end.
No end whatsoever. Where does it end, guys? Come on. I mean, think about it. When does it end? My brain, as you can tell now, doesn't stop. And if you're laughing, but I'm like this all day. When I'm alone, sometimes I'll just chill out, but I'll dive into my own rabbit hole of information. And, yesterday was, how do you guys say it? EBITDA?
EBITDA. Yeah, EBITDA.
Yeah, earnings before interest. And I'm like, what the F are you guys talking about? I'm like, are you talking about your restaurant? He's like, yeah. I'm like, why are you here talking about EBITDA and not at your restaurant talking to your guests? And look, I get it. You're laughing, but creativity, like, when does your brain stop? And you should never stop creating. And I like to give a little, what's it called? Jolt? Those things they rub together. Yeah, just give a little jolt. Let's get it going. Let's get some new ideas going. And that's why I love this group. I am surrounded by, look, I don't come from anything. They don't come from anything. So let's all form one and let's go get them all together and let's share. And aside from the 12 business owners that I've worked and battled with over the years, there's 300 employees underneath them. So again, that ecosystem and just being able to touch base with everybody. Listen, we don't have any managers, right? I don't believe in managers because overworked, overpaid, or underpaid. I'm sorry. Did I say overpaid? Yeah. And you know what? I don't, having been a manager myself, the respect level is different when an employee hears that you're a business owner, you own the business, you have skin in the game, and they respect that more. So hence Kara Restaurant Group, the base is 12 business owners that are all employees that came from nothing, that are working to get to the next level.
It's fantastic. And awesome. That reminds me of sort of this, journey into the Restaurant Punk podcast. I mean, punk means a lot to me, the subculture, anti-establishment. Why Restaurant Punk? Why use that term?
Listen, punk is fast, loud, fast moving, loud, and aggressive. And I'm like, So when I think of what we do and what it takes to make it here, it's different when, a father tells a son, I'll invest in your restaurant. Here's so-and-so money, or I'll co-sign the loan for $500,000 for you to not buy the property, but for you to have a brand new kitchen and execute your ideas. We don't have that. We didn't start like that. We just look for a door to open, look for value. And even all these years later, it's still the same thing. No outside money coming in, all generated from here. Whatever we make, guys, let's take it all and throw it right back in the pot and keep going.
Fantastic. Makes a lot of sense. Listen, Yianni, that's all the time we have for this episode. Now's your time to plug away. Where can people connect with you? What's your platform of choice?
My platform of choice?
Where can people connect with you if someone's looking to reach out and they want to connect with you?
Listen, do me a favor. Just get on a plane, all right? When you get to Philly Airport, just follow the signs down to Cape May.
Go to the restaurant, you guys. Go to the restaurant.
Come knock on the door. Let's go. Let's go. Let's meet face to face, guys. Let's do it.
100%. Speaking of plugs, this podcast is sponsored by Dine Pricing, real-time restaurant profitability. Dine Pricing uses artificial intelligence to improve restaurant profitability by dynamically updating menus across digital channels like Uber Eats, DoorDash, and Grubhub. Again, that's all the time we have for this episode. Thanks again to Yianni. Listen, man, this is super cool. I'm a big fan. I love the journey. I love the punk. I love the podcast. All the best to you guys. Until next week, say goodbye, Jose.
Commit, and Providence will commit with you. Goodbye.
Let's go. Much love, bro. I'm going back to work. Thank you. All right,
There you
boys.
go.
Out.
Thank you,
Out.
guys.
I love it.